A quorum, so we will get started. I think this will be a pretty quick meeting. We thank you all for attending so that we have a quorum. Start with attendance. Dorothy.
Dorothy Banaszewski, Facilities Construction.
Michael Guida, CORC.
Holly Hahn, Office of the General Counsel.
Michael Tubiolo, Facilities Construction.
David Dolan, Facilities Management.
David Porter, CORC.
Barbara Myers, Construction Purchasing.
Bill Hugel, CORC.
Go ahead.
Okay. Berman Ray, Randolph Construction Group.
Tom Jacob Eisen, Morton Smith.
Summer Walker, The White Company.
James Campbell, Chief Operating Office.
Ted Cava, CORC Construction.
Jim Miles, Dan Verdex Construction.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Then Dorothy, you want to do online for us?
Yeah, online we have John Cheshire,
Present.
Michael Gelfand,
Present.
Virginia Ferris,
I'm here.
and we also have Mr. Barbieri
Present, thank you.
and Mr. Sanchez.
I'm here. Good morning.
Okay, good morning.
Yeah, and we're not going to make Mr. Sanchez talk because he's been laryngitising it this week. So
Then we need a 10-minute speech. All right. All right, I have nothing else to report as chairman's report. Anyone with a conflict of interest for anything today? All right, hearing none, we have no conflicts. Our CORC report, Dorothy went to the board, and I think that's working as a nice process, so that's good.
excellent. Thank you, Dorothy.
Yep, thanks, Dorothy. Staff updates.
Michael, you want anything for today?
No staff updates for today. We will have a quick meeting. All right. Public comments. Any public comments? All right. I'm not seeing any. Let's get down to consent agenda. FC1.
Hold on one sec. I gotta get my notes.
Okay. Making the meeting too fast for you, huh?
Yeah, I think I had a comment on that.
FC1. All right. Okay. FC2. FC3. PC1.
Yes, Paul.
Okay. That's still a yes?
Yes,
Okay. PC2.
yes. Did my homework.
All right, Virginia, you're up.
I move the items that were not pulled on consent agenda to go forward.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Second by Bill Hugel. Dorothy Paulus, please.
Bill Hukill,
Here.
David Porter,
Yes.
John Cheshire,
Yes.
Michael Gelfand,
Yep.
Michael Guida,
Yes.
Virginia Ferris.
Yes.
All right, we're on FC1, Mike Guida.
All right. I think item number 2 on the change proposal list, Jupiter Middle School. More of a question for Michael, Mr. Tubio. This is for upgrading the lighting into the rooms. And it's for design services. When you get additional design services, do they add additional construction administration services to cover that extra work?
So they do, in this case, it's lumped into the project duration, so the work will be done with the other projects, so it's included in that CA work. For instance, the actual working of the lighting install will be done with the other work, so it'll just be rolled into that CA.
Be rolled into that, but it's extra CA that they have to do, and others.
They have to check the classrooms,
But they have not asked for additional CA services.
but they're going to
So they're not asking for additional money.
be for it, but they will do the CA as part of it, yes.
Okay, so that won't be a future request? Okay.
And generally, the rule is you get one shot at it. Same thing with change orders. Generally, you get one shot at it. If you want money and you want time, you got to ask together. You want money, we approve a change order. You can't come back later and ask for time.
Okay. And I had the same question for the Palm Springs one, for the additional design service for the EMS control systems.
Yeah, that's is included in all these, yeah.
Okay. That was it.
Anything else, Mike?
See, nope, that's all I have on there.
All right, want to make a
Make a motion to move FC1 to the board agenda.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
By Virginia, go ahead and poll us, Dorothy.
Okay, Bill Hukiel,
Yes.
David Porter,
Yes.
John Cheshire,
Yes.
Michael Gelfand,
Yes.
Michael Guida,
Yes.
Virginia Ferris,
Yes.
and I'm not sure, Sam Shannon, have you joined? That phone number ending in 75, I thought might be his.
Okay. PC1.
All right, thank you, Sam.
Actually, I wanted to give a shout out for PC1 to whoever puts together all these litigation papers.
That's Holly.
So for advanced roofing, you had a nice spreadsheet that kind of showed every litigation and the status of it, whether it's closed or and the different types. So it kind of helps me because I don't speak legalese like a lot of people here. So it kind of helps summarize it. So I want to put kudos out for you on that.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
But other than that, no comments. So just want to move this forward to the board for approval.
We have a second.
Second.
All right, we got a second. Any comments, discussion? All right, Dorothy, poll us, please.
Hey, Bill Hukiel,
Yes.
David Porter,
Yes.
John Cheshire,
Yes.
Michael Gelfand,
Yes.
Michael Guida,
Yes.
Sam Shannon,
Yes.
Virginia Ferris.
Yes.
Okay, PC2, Mike Guida.
Okay, PC2. This looks like a project where you're trying to purchase all the equipment ahead of time through that. And it's more of a design question because I come from a design background. You're replacing the air conditioning units. And when you replace one, it takes a section of the building down. There's no air. So in the contract, is there any provisions to provide temporary air for those areas during schools?
So typically we would. In this case, the building's unoccupied. So it's
This one's unoccupied. Okay.
It was the former home of South Tech, which has now moved to what was the old Odyssey. So this building has been unoccupied for a while. So
The whole
it's
thing.
essentially an entire gut of a vacant site.
Okay, so it's a moot point. But in projects where you do that, you got to have that.
Even on our facility renewals, when we're doing replacements, that's usually a challenge for the contractors to structure. They can't do all air handlers all at one time. They're gonna have to do one section, pipe in, cool, and control that environment.
You have to prove that you don't overload one electrical panel to power up the temporary and the existing. So,
And
yeah.
getting exhaust and
Okay.
So when we do that with the temporary AC, is that something that the AE usually designs and helps out with, or is that all the CM to figure out what panels they have to pull the power from?
usually the mechanical and electrical subcontractors take the lead, but they coordinate with the engineers.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, you okay with PC2, Mike?
I think all the other questions were related to occupancy of the space, so they're mute now. So I'm going to move this forward to the board, PC2, for approval.
All right, you need a second?
Second.
Second by Virginia. Any comments, questions? All right, poll us, Dorothy, please.
Bill Hukiel,
Yes.
David Porter,
Yes.
John Cheshire,
Yes.
Michael Gelfand,
Yes.
Michael Guida,
Yes.
Sam Shannon,
Yes.
Virginia Ferris.
Yes.
Okay, we are through consent agenda. So is this a little teaser that you're giving us, this really light load, and then next month we get
Probably.
Yeah.
GMPs to look at?
As a matter of fact, I got a text from Dorothy yesterday of, have you signed these things yet? So I expect that these are ones that are all coming forward that you.
And March is it's a short time between now and March's meeting. So we have.
That's true.
David, for general discussion before, I forgot to mention it, but did you want to bring up about Ken Lassiter?
Yeah, Ken, just for all CORC members understanding, Ken Lassiter has also retired from CORC. So we have now lost Lou Doctor to retirement from CORC and Ken Lassiter. So down a couple people.
Okay.
All right, in progress work.
Well,
Back to you guys.
he's a good guy.
Okay, Dorothy, do you have the ability to pop that up?
Nope.
Can you refresh, because refresh that last screen you were just on, because I think if you do it, no, just hit the circle thingy on the left. Okay. It is there. Okay. I'm going to zip through this as quickly as possible. A lot of the first pages are all, go ahead, second page. That's the numbers that we update every month based on the revenues generated and the projects that we've got out there. Got a pretty good participation for both contractors and vendors and consultants. This is our ongoing list of upcoming solicitations. You'll notice right now that, and again, everybody who's familiar with the contractors, that this is online, so you can always pop it up and pull it up yourselves. But most of those are under the continuing contract. There are some other projects that we are lining up, some bigger projects. We've got a capital plan for a project for phase 2 of Roosevelt and a phase 2 at Delray Full Service. So we're working through the project scopes on those before we start advertising them, but they really haven't made it onto Barbara's list. And some other ones coming up too. Go ahead, next slide. This is just for all you CORC members to know what kind of workload we're going to be bringing forth. I don't think the Roosevelt, oh yeah, the reds are the continuings. So you'll see historic Roosevelt remodel next month. That's the phase 1.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit? That Roosevelt Building 3 is kind of an interesting situation there. We partnered with the Bezos Academy, Jeff Bezos, and they're doing a preschool at that building. So we split out our FCA project into Building 3 to get it done, and then the rest of the campus. So that's why that one's split up. But they're looking to do more work with the district and open these pre-K centers that will feed directly into our schools.
This is our first one.
I think there's 18 nationwide.
And there's one at FAU.
Yeah, there's one at FAU, and they
Anderson.
actually fund all their construction that they do. So we're just doing our normal facility renewal stuff. So they put all the money in, and we just house the facility for them.
And Roosevelt Elementary had a building that was basically pretty well underutilized. It was it had some administrative stuff going on in there. We were able to relocate. So it allowed us the opportunity. And again, Bezos Academy operates in underserved communities often, and Roosevelt looks like it's got a good candidate for bringing in a lot of students. And this work is ongoing right now with Bezos, and Hatcher Construction is actually doing the project, both our facility renewal and Bezos's work. And we're anticipating that work will be done
By the start of school
in August.
So
Bezos Academy will open at Roosevelt.
all the improvements they do become ours. That's part of any type of agreement.
Pretty much.
Yes, yeah.
And are they strongly encouraged to use the contractors and designers that we use all the time so that we have coordination?
In this case, they definitely did because we're doing the work at the same time.
Yeah, we're doing the facility renewal now.
And when we were negotiating the agreement with them, they actually asked for our list of all of our professionals, so.
And the reason I say that is because if what they're doing becomes ours, we don't want, Joe
They still have to meet
Smith
our
in there that
standards
has
and-
never worked on a school before.
Right.
And all of a sudden they mess up the whole electrical system.
We're
because-
still the age, Jay, on
approve
this.
the plans.
Tom Hogarth has to approve everything that we are doing, all those plans. Judd is our SPA, and the Bezos person is actually working through Judd with the building department, make sure that everything that goes through, whether it's being Bezos funded and constructed or us funded, it's all going through Judd, who's making sure the building officials, ensuring everything's in compliance.
So it's kind of very much like when we let a PTA buy playground equipment, they basically have to go through us because we developed a policy years ago about donated services and items to make sure that we still had control.
Absolutely.
And safety.
7.26.
Okay.
We all know it.
All right. So that's kind of how we're still doing the Bezos stuff then.
Yeah, and we're hoping that if this is a success, which, knock on wood, it's certainly a welcomed opportunity for the school district as a whole. Bezos has come to us recently and said, get back on our horse. We've got 4 more agreements that they want to see if we can work out. Different.
Hopefully less painful.
Yeah, that was, but it's certainly worth all the effort, I'd say.
What age of students is that?
Pre-K.
Pre-K, okay.
Pre-K program, and they go all year round. So like that's, once we start this August, they're gonna go all the way through the full year.
So they're part of the same chiller system. So we don't need to chill the whole school for the summer because they don't have a program.
Correct.
Now we're still chilling there.
Well, and the good news is we're doing our facility renewal, so we're now making sure that all our controls are very clearly separated and defined out. So now the good news is Roosevelt L was renovated in early 2000. We built all those new buildings, and building 3 is the old building. So it was renovated, got new air handlers and whatnot, but the whole campus was new in 2000, 2001 or something like that. So it's not really, we're not really talking about old technology. Right. So it is in good shape, but we're going through the facility renewal, so we're going to make sure that everything is nice and structured and orderly.
Well, I guess, if they come into a school that we weren't planning to tinker with, I mean, the goal would be not to have to run the entire school's chiller system and AC system when they need one classroom.
Correct.
So we need to be mindful of that so that we're not increasing our operating expenses at their behest.
Dr. Miller from the academic side has picked a handful of, I think, 8 to 10 schools to consider, and they sent it over to us. So we're starting to look at what's the best
Fits for us.
Because there's logistics of bringing people in, parking, drop off, control, having their own, because a pre-K needs their separate playground from the rest of it. So there's a lot of the logistics to it. So.
Excellent.
I have a question, David.
Yes, Virginia, go ahead.
Could you further explain this Bezos relationship? The background? I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, well, you know that the school district often, occasionally runs pre-K programs, and they're very structured, the VPK program within the state. And so there's oftentimes limited locations. Not every school has a VPK program or pre-K program. And in Bezos Academy, Jeff Bezos has an academic system. I just want to call it a system, but basically a pre-K, and it's more like a Montessori type of pre-K system. And again, forgive me, I don't know enough about the academic side of a Montessori structure, so I can't speak to that detail. But if you know, it seems like Montessoris are more independently working, as opposed to everybody does the same exact thing every day. So it's more of a Montessori-based academic program, and the Bezos Academy is basically paying for these students to come and have this pre-K early education opportunity that may not have been there in this particular community previously. So they need space. I guess in some other cases, they might actually do something at a strip mall and turn spaces like that into their school. In this particular case, they like the idea of the fact that it's already a safe, secure academic environment that they become a part of. That they generally try to focus on the kids from the area. So like if we're doing one, that's why when Michael said we're looking at other alternatives, there's probably going to be some in the South County, some in Central and some in West that we'll look into where they're trying to serve those underserved communities. But essentially, we're just providing them a space so that they can do the same thing that we might be able to do. And whereas the state pays for our VPK programs, Bezos is paying for these students. So they just apply and Bezos screens them and says, come on in. And they give them a world-class education just like ours.
So we don't have any kind of academic oversight over what they're teaching and what they're not teaching. It's completely their program. They're basically just renting space from us to do their thing.
Is it like a charter school?
No, well,
I don't think so, because I don't know that they're going to be seeking funding from the state. I think it's all Bezos money that goes, they pays the instructors and, does all that stuff.
it's a private foundation that's starting an education system for pre-K, and they just happen to be using some of our school area that's underutilized instead of going out and just renting a space anywhere. I like that idea because then the kids are already used to being in a school environment.
And that's, for us, that was a great opportunity at Roosevelt. Thank you. I'm glad you transitioned that. For us, when they're in the pre-K program in that school, mom and dad are used to coming and dropping them off already. So then matriculating them right up into kindergarten and the rest. This is an ideal situation for us that we have the feeder pattern.
Michael.
I may have heard my apologies. Is there a lease and how long is the term?
Very good point. Thank you, sir. It is a 10-year lease.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 10
It's a 10-year lease.
Option to renew, I think, for another 10 years.
Correct. I think it's a 10-year with a 10-year renewal option. And again, I won't be around to see that second renewal or after the second renewal, but I certainly would hope that if it's a success that we keep re-upping and making it, if it's working for the community and it's working for our kids, like to think that everybody will continue moving it forward. The improvements that are being made, they're paying for a lot of those improvements, but they're essentially, it's our building, so we will ultimately benefit from it. They'll benefit because those improvements are only, let's say if you're buying an air handler, it's only for a 7 to 10 year life cycle, let's say. Well, they're going to be here for 10 years. We'll probably have to buy another one 10 years from now. They'll probably have to buy another one 10 years from now to upgrade that.
And with the pre-K, there's more of a need than we have facilities and operations to accommodate. So our VPK program's involved with it so that as Bezos provides, say at Roosevelt, they're able to open a school, they'll be able to take those resources and plug them somewhere else to help other students. So it's not displacing what we're doing, it's just moving it around to help more kids.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's a great idea for a program in many ways, and students will benefit from just a real property perspective. The concept that at the end of the lease, there's going to be significant value to the district in terms of the capital investment. It'll probably be down to zero, especially whatever reconditioning work needs to be done. I presume that the leases provide adequate outs in case of destruction, rebuilding, repurposing the sites.
We did. It was extensive negotiations with Bezos so that we tried to encompass, and especially kudos to Dave and team. We really tried to think about long-term scenarios that may come up and what each party's responsibilities would be.
Alrighty. And I presume that they provide insurance and we monitor that the way we would any other property we lease out.
Yes,
Yes, that was a
yes.
sticking point for.
Yeah, initially they wanted to say, well, we're Bezos Academy, so we don't have to provide insurance.
We can self-insure.
And our risk management team said, well, there's certain documents you would have to do in lieu of that, and then they provided us insurance.
Right, all right.
Okay.
Is he taller in person than on TV or?
We never got that. We never got.
Never met him?
No,
Just his team. Okay.
just the team.
All right, and that was on your, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm still going on.
Oh, yeah,
that.
yeah,
This
right.
was the GMPs, and Michael brought up that.
Yeah.
I have yet, and I apologize. Thank you so much for bringing that up. We never really introduced that little. It's just a little piece that's on the side. But you'll see the blue ones are the ones that are coming to CORC. The red ones are the internal FCA ones that we're continuing to move forward. So we've got a lot of work coming up.
Well, on that, it's been now, what, Barbara, 3 years that we've had that 10
We're just
PC,
starting the third year.
starting the third year, and I guess it's been successful?
2 full years, yes.
Yeah.
Good, okay.
Yeah, we're always looking at what's our volume of work coming up, and do we have enough vendors? Because now one of the challenges that Michael's experiencing, of course, is our projects before. We had 10 or 15 facility renewals a year, but they're all $8-10 million.
Right.
Now we're going to have 25 and 30 a year or more, and they're all 1 to 2 to 3 million. Just because it's a smaller dollar value, it doesn't change it for all of us and for the contractors. They still got to have staffing. You still got to run. So that's been one of the challenges, is trying to make sure that we keep all of our vendors constantly busy, not overwhelmed. And do we we always look at it and say, do we need to bring on more? So we'll always reevaluate and try to determine if 10 is not enough. So.
Especially if the state passes that.
Yeah, the increase in the CCNA.
Yeah. We'll have to give that some consideration.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think it's 7.5, right?
Yeah,
They lowered it from 10 to 7.5.
And again, I'm glad that you brought up that there's a lot of things that are going on in the legislative session right now, and we're gonna defer any of those conversations until it's finalized, until we know, because yes, there are a lot of us who've been kind of having our ears to the ground and catching up on all the details, and then something doesn't go through conference, and so rather than get all wrapped around all that, we'll let you know when everything's finalized and see what kind of impacts that'll have for us, the legislative session.
Because if one of them goes through, you won't have to do continuing education anymore. I will, you won't. Anybody with a license over 10 years won't have to do continuing ed if they're licensed under DBPR, except architects.
And engineers or what?
Engineers, no, you wouldn't have to.
Oh.
Anybody with a license 10 years or more that you hold it, part of the legislation that's already gone through committee has been no continuing ed requirements. So that would be contractors, engineers.
Wow, that'll be a change. So, but we'll see if that happens and see what what kind of impacts it'll have for us.
That's why we don't have to react yet, because it's not done yet.
And I'm not going to go over all these things. You can see that there's a lot of development projects on the way. There's a bunch of projects in design and that are heading towards GMPs.
The one project I haven't seen in a while, and it reminded me when I came past it, was North Tech. I was on a selection committee, I thought, for North Tech all the way through CM, where we were going to build a new building there, and we were going to rearrange the existing building. I mean, did that just fall away? Did it get removed? What happened?
She's now looking at me. Unfortunately, sadly, the good news was when we hired the architect and the contractor, part of the scope was to do a due diligence and evaluation of what scope we were proposing to do, feasibility. And what ultimately came out of that effort was that what we were doing probably wasn't going to be the best spend on our money, that we were better, rather than renovating the space, we were better off more effectively using money to build something new, to knock it down and build something new. So Unfortunately, what that means is that the contract that we gave to the architect and the contractor that said, you're going to renovate a building, this is now what is deemed a cardinal change.
Right.
And that means we have to disband that contract. So we're going to end up having to take those contracts back to the board, let them know that we're canceling those, and then we're going to re-advertise that project again with this newly defined scope.
And that's in the budget in terms of going forward with a new scope?
Yes.
Yes.
It's in the capital plan. Okay. All right.
Is it now? No. Will it be? Yeah.
I see.
We're just so you guys know, like we do operational budgets in January, and by the end of January, our operational and our capital budgets were due. Operational budgets are all done. That means every department has to figure out how many people they need and all that stuff. Capital budget, we've been working on it for several months. So we have our first draft on it, and we have included the money that we need for the North Tech for building a new. That doesn't mean if you may recall, the capital budget process, there's a series, and I don't know if Ms. Evans is on here, but there's a series of meetings or workshops with the board where we present it, our draft versions, and then they give us feedback. And usually by September, I think, is usually adoption of the capital plan. So I sit here in January and say, is it adopted? No, not yet. But is it in our plan? Is it in our draft version for them to approve? Yes, it is. Yes, we do have that.
Including construction?
For North Tech, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so it would be designed all the way through completion.
That's part of the appeal, is that the renovation of that project with existing students was going to take, 3 years to get done. And this plan, we can build a new building while they're
staying in the building.
Build a new building in 15 months, then move them and demo that. And it's a lot cleaner. And you get a brand new building that's going to last for 50 years versus renovating
renovating a 40-year-old building and big concrete block walls that you'd have to shore up, and it was going to be a big challenge. So yeah, North Tech is going to come through in the next couple months. First, we're going to have to cancel the contracts and then re-advertise, and then we'll award. But we've got a good idea of the scope.
Okay, good. Sorry.
Okay. The next list, I'm not going to go through, but those are all the facility renewal projects that are under construction. And you'll see there's some of them basically say we're just about done. And that's always often our challenge, is closing them out, getting them the last little bit sorted out. But we're doing a much better job with AECOM's support and help in trying to push the contractors over the finish line when we get to substantial completion and final completion. Okay.
Speaking of AECOM, when's our contract up with them, or is it on a year-to-year?
It is on a year-to-year now, and they usually come up in May. So I venture that Darcy is probably going to be calling me this afternoon to say, hey, Dave, it's February. We're going to need to start reworking the contract. It's just a contract amendment to basically say another year, because we've established last year when we established the rate increases on the staffing charges. So it's set for the remaining 3 years of the contract if we were to extend them. Yeah, some photos of the facility renewal work that's ongoing. Yeah, there's a lot of photos this month. We more than usual. So. Okay, modernization, Grove Park. This is one of our first big items I wanted to make clear. When you look at the photos, you'll see that Grove Park has substantially improved. They are very close to finish. There's your photo of what the campus looks like right now. And it's certainly, I don't want to say it's done, but it's definitely within weeks of being completed. And while it's great to have it done, you want to say about the roof? While it's just about done, we are not going to move the kids, the Grove Park students who are currently housed at Lincoln. We're not going to move them into the school over spring break or anything. We're going to wait until the summer and move the kids in here, because at this time of year, one of the big things, one of the driving forces why that decision was made was because the academics, the school itself, the schools basically say, this is our testing time. It's now starting to really count. The testing has changed over the years. And now we don't want to be distracted by moves, new location, the whole thing. So we're going to stick with where we're at through the spring. We'll move them over the summer. And then, as you may remember, West Riviera Elementary will move into the Lincoln Holding School over the summer, and we will immediately start construction on the modernization of West Riviera L also.
Now, West Riviera, the drawing's already done, the GMP's already done?
Yeah, we've already got phase one.
Phase one, the equipment's ordered, so we're working through that, yeah.
So the CM's gonna have to relook at the budget and the GMP all
And
over
this-
again because of escalation that's happened?
Correct.
Okay.
Will they be open for summer school or just kids will formally start here?
No, Grove Park, we are, as far as summer school is concerned, thank you for, ironically,
You said summer, yeah.
summer school, we have a big meeting coming up, it's actually on right now. We are keeping Grove Park closed for the summer school, just because we knew we were gonna be moving students and boxes and things like that, and we didn't want to distract and whatnot. So Grove Park will not have summer school this summer. Grove Park, Pine Grove, and Winbrook will not have summer school. Those are the only three, because they're all under construction. There's too much stuff going on. Otherwise, all other schools will be open for summer school.
So the CM on this one needs to be notified by the end of July. There will be 0 punch list items
Oh,
remaining.
we're going to do, I wouldn't be surprised if we do more tours and videos and what, it needs to be done
Oh, yeah.
completely. Even before the end of the school year.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
we want to have nice opportunity to celebrate the work that was done. Because it truly is a beautiful school. When you get there and see it, it's a magnificent school. So.
Yeah, it has an impression from the street.
And one of the things to keep in mind on Grove Park, we did an addition, and the gentleman to my right is the reason why we're doing the addition. Him and my boss, but we're doing an addition on Grove Park, and the shell is up. And I think Darcy, if you can go back one slide, the last or 2 slides, instead of wording.
That was
The expansion section has drywall and framing. Expansion area will not be done by the end of the month, but it is progressing quickly. So,
but that'll be ready for school.
It will be. That's the thing. Right now, we could potentially have the addition ready for August for school, which would be a big plus for us.
Then yeah, contractor's gone. Nobody else has to be on the property.
Right. That's why for us we think it's okay. So Grove Park will be open in August, and we're going to be moving all that stuff over the summer. So, okay, next up. Okay, Pine Grove. Pine Grove is building 1 and 2. I think are the renovation buildings. Building 3, is that the new one? I can never remember which one's which. But anyway, if you go to the pictures, because you can read the text later, but you go to the pictures, you'll see the donut on the left-hand side is the existing building. That's where all the students are currently occupied. And the parking lot all the way over to the right, that is the temporary, all the way over, that one right there. That's where the staff is, and they walk under that covered walkway around the the get that building. The Z-shaped building is the brand new one. And that's Tilt, and you'll see some of the photos. And then just to the north of it, there are 2 buildings that are also under renovation. So all those 2 renovations and the new building will all be done by August. So the students will then move out of the donut building into those other 3 buildings. And then in August, we will knock that down and build the parking lot there.
So this will open. The new stuff will open for the new school year.
The new school will open for the new school year, and then we'll do the parking lot after. Yeah. And Angel is on top of this. So we're hoping and praying and making sure we've got a good team. White's is really working this. So we're going to make sure they stay on target for that. But again, the worst comes to worst, they're still occupying the donut building fine. There's no impacts there. So, okay. Next, moving on. Oh, there you go. So some of the tilt and see the underground conduit.
And of course, somebody is documenting a survey where those conduit are under the ground, correct?
They do.
That's supposed to be part of
They have to
every,
be submitted and approved.
right,
Okay.
part of every OAC. They're supposed to be
yeah.
submitting them to
Okay.
make sure that they're staying on top of them. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, West Riv, we're going to move the students over into Lincoln. Students and all their stuff are going to move out of Lincoln and go over to Grove Park. When that is vacated, we will then move those students over into West Riv, from West Riv into Lincoln. And then we will start remediating for whatnot, and then demolition. So construction won't actually start. Demo won't start until July. It's going to take us the month of June to get all that stuff going on. Winbrook is just underway. You can see we did our early procurement. We've moved the students into the holding school at Crestwood, because this is just like when Malaluca was at the Crestwood Holding School. Malaluca's now moved into their school, and Winbrook has moved into the Crestwood Holding. And the modernization is underway.
So Crestwood is not really being utilized except as a holding school right now, correct?
Crestwood Middle is a full middle school. And then they have a big piece of property off to the to the west. I can't remember. I think it's to the west that we had. It's right by the bus loop.
So we built a temporary campus.
And we built a temporary
Okay.
campus with 45 rented portables.
Right,
and I
right,
think
right,
we
right.
added 7 more for Winbrook this time.
Okay.
Yeah. And Winbrook, both schools use part of Crestwood. There's 6 or 8 classrooms inside of Crestwood Middle that are unoccupied that we use for the holding. So moving on. Additions, Delray Full Service is coming down the end. We're within sight. They're already planning open house and, for the academic programs that are going on there. Timber Trace. No, you're familiar with that. So that is going through punch list now. That's all open. I think they're working on doors and locks to the card reader and things like that are challenges. Seminole Trails core expansion. We were basically done, but we hit a major snag with the health department, and we are working through with the design team and the contractor to basically, I don't know if it was a change in code or something, but they basically at the end, they made us add 3, 4, 5 sinks, hand washing sinks at different weird locations. They're re-engaged, moving on that, and we anticipate they'll be done by the end of the school year with all the improvements and get it CO'd and occupied.
Are we doing any other core expansions after that? Are we done core expansions?
No,
There's 4 planned. We've kind of pushed those out a little bit tentatively in the capital plan based on enrollment. But there are 4 more to do.
My point was, we need to incorporate the
well,
health department stuff that they.
Timber Trace was one that had the same issue.
Yeah.
The big issue was we didn't think that we would need to update the sink locations because we were doing it, and the only scope in there was we're adding the cafeteria, but we were taking the coolers and putting them outside and converting the cooler space to something else. And so a couple pieces of equipment. They said that was a big enough renovation. We had to bring everything up to code.
Pushed you to that code requirement.
But that didn't happen until the inspection phase.
So yes, you're right. We will certainly learn from our, but we also have the challenges of, we've now done a number of them, and I can unequivocally say they have all been giant nightmares.
Yeah.
Working on an existing cafeteria while they're trying to run a school there's nothing good about it. So we take learned lessons away from it, and sometimes it's we're not doing that anymore. So we are constantly reevaluating what worked, what didn't work, better ways to handle the administration of the school. And I thank the regionals, because we've had a lot of help and support from them to try to figure these out. Dorothy's minor projects, there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
Same joke.
Couple jobs here and there.
And that's it for us.
All right. Any questions for staff? Okay. Our next CORC meeting down here, we're down to minutes. Anyone with issues on the minutes?
David,
Yes, Virginia.
you jumped over discussion items.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I read in Sunday Sun Sentinel that the Broward schools are being audited again by the state. And Pete Licata, who's now the superintendent there, is quoted as saying that the inspector general is also reviewing school construction programs in Miami-Dade and Palm Beach counties. Can you fill us in on whether the state attorney general is investigating us or auditing us?
You aware of that? Are we allowed to talk about it?
No, we are not. We have not been formally notified. At least we haven't. I've turned and looked to legal to see if they have heard anything. We are not formally, but we do certainly anticipate, and we're always buttoning up our P's and Q's to make sure that we're always on the up and up for fear of an audit. We're always audited by our own internal, the IG's office, the Inspector General's office. They are regularly auditing individual construction projects. I mean,
and processes. We have 2 or 3 going on continuously with the IG's office where they look at things, check the paperwork, review things and give us comments. So, but that's just part of how we operate.
Yeah, and we're starting ones off now because I think Garcia and I think West Boynton, having just opened, the IG has reached out to, this is the school district's internal IG has reached out and we are beginning the process for auditing those. But those it's not anything we fear because it's basically making sure that we're following the procedures that we've had in place for a while. And as Michael said, we've already gone through a number of procedural audits by our own Inspector General to make sure that the things we're doing are in the best interest of the school district, to make sure that we've stayed on top. So I don't want to say we're not being audited, but we're always looking at constant improvements.
Michael Gelfand, then we'll get to Leanne.
Yeah, because Leanne's got good feedback.
Michael?
Are we back to the minutes?
Maybe let's go to Leanne first because she might have information about audit. Go ahead, Leanne.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that specific audit, but I wanted to mention the state auditor general. They audit us every 3 years, one a cycle. It's required by school districts. They do a financial audit and they do an operational audit. So when they're doing the operational audit, they're checking to make sure that we're following all of our procedures and best practices for construction. They audit cost of construction. They look at everything. So I have to go back and find that article. If they said that they were reviewing our construction projects and it was the state auditor general, they always do that. That's a cycle. It's every 3 years. We are preparing right now. The school board did, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I expect we'll do a presentation in the near future, but the school board did approve last week to move forward with the sales tax. And we had talked about that a little bit last month. And part of that is to notify, and we've already done this, notify OPAGA, which is a state organization, state department, and they will hire a CPA firm to come down and do a performance audit. And it will involve all the areas that are in our last referendum and the next referendum. So we've got an office just outside my office for auditors, and there's almost always somebody there. And our IG's office is always auditing projects. So I think we probably have more audits. I know we have more audits than cities and counties, and I'm not sure why the state is set up that way, but it's required by statute. So we're well used to audits, and so is the construction team. So and we've got so many procedures and processes in place, and your review is key. The Construction Oversight Review Committee, our Sales Tax Oversight Review Committee, we have these committees for a really good reason, to ensure transparency and to make sure the public can see what we're doing. So if there's an audit coming, we're not really worried about it. We're used to audits.
Okay. If you want to see the article, it was the big Sun Sentinel on Sunday, and it was the big main article right on the top of the page about the Broward schools. And then within that article, Pete Licata mentioned that they're looking into Miami and Palm Beach County schools also. And I think in Broward, it had to do with the bond referendum. It was 10 years ago that they're still investigating. So I don't know if they're looking into our bond referendum as they are in Broward, or just a regular audit?
I'm not sure. I know they will, the external CPA firm will be coming in and looking at everything. It's part of the OPAGA audit that's required by state statute. I haven't been, we haven't been notified of anything, but audits happen all the time, quite frankly. We see them all the time. We're so transparent in how we load everything. And with our program for sales tax, Mr. Porter is the chair of the construction oversight of the sales tax oversight committee too. We're providing information constantly to that committee. Well, we meet quarterly. It's not as often as CORC, but we put everything available online. So we'll see what happens, but I've not heard of a specific audit on that yet.
Okay, but you'll let us know if that occurs. I'm
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but and there are audits all the time. So
okay. You're used to it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Michael has to leave the meeting. Michael Gelfand.
Okay. All right, Michael, thank you.
Oh, no.
No?
He had a question about meeting minutes.
Oh,
with us?
Go ahead, Michael.
Michael, you got minutes questions?
Yes, I moved to approve the minutes with one change on 4.02, the follow-up new items. This is the one on EVs. I would suggest adding under district response, after the staff considering the appropriateness, these are not being considered. So it would be adding after the staff evaluated appropriateness. All right.
Okay. Then I guess I need a second on that. That was, I guess, a motion to change the minutes. So do I have a second accepting that?
Second.
All right. Any other comments or questions on that? Dorothy Polis, please.
Bill Hookill,
Yes.
David Porter,
Yes.
John Cheshire,
Yes.
Michael Gelfand,
Yes.
Michael Guida,
Yes.
Sam Shannon,
Yes.
Virginia Ferris.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
By the way, forgot to tell everybody, we have a groundbreaking scheduled for March 1st for Winbrook. So, we'll certainly make sure we take some photos and let everybody know. And you're always welcome. If you're capable and interested in attending, shoot me or Dorothy a note, and we'll make sure you get invites.
Are we still on minutes? Are we still on minutes?
No, I didn't think so.
I just wanted to thank staff for adding the corrected minutes from the last meeting. I think that's a very good practice, and I hope it will go forward to give us the corrected minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Frank Simon, got your hand up.
I don't think you called on me to vote.
Don't know if we knew you were on.
Well,
I did.
I
I
see
did
my
not.
picture on.
We only saw your picture on when you just raised your hand.
Okay.
Do
Frank,
we want to amend the vote do we want to amend the vote to ask Simon his
Mr.
feedback?
Simon,
My vote is yes.
Okay.
Okay,
We will amend the motion to add that in. Thank you, Frank.
And show me in attendance. The problem is your meeting's an hour running so short. I get here and you're almost over.
yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Review and set the agenda. Do we want anything specific we haven't already told staff? Mr. Barbieri.
Good morning, Mr. Porter. As you probably know, both of my appointees to CORC have resigned, unfortunately, especially Mr. Doctor, who was invaluable to all of us. But I was going to hold off on appointing new ones because, as most of you probably already also know, is I'm not running again in 2024. My wife told me, she made the decision. She told me if I run again, I'll be running as a divorced man living out of my closet.
There's your out.
So I was going to appoint someone. I was going to hold off appointing, figuring that the new board member from District 5 would appoint somebody. But it's, it's not like the other committees where you can just pick somebody. It's, the expertise that you all have is important. And I was afraid that by the time the District 5 representative not only familiarizes themselves with your committee, but also is able to find somebody to fit the slot, that it could be months and months before there's anybody representing District 5. So my question is, and I don't need answers verbally, but you can all email me. If any of you know anybody that would like to serve on CORC, they don't necessarily have to live in my district, but if you want to send me their name and contact information, I will contact them, explain to them that their term may be short-lived, although, again, it's hard to find people with qualifications to serve on CORC. So, it may not be short-lived, but I guess I'm going to go ahead and try to point at least one more to the CORC before I leave the board. So I need some information from the CORC members. If you know anybody that's interested, please email me their name and contact number, and I'll give them a call.
Okay. Dorothy, what I'd request is send out to all CORC members the positions that the people should serve to fill the CORC policy.
Okay.
And therefore we'll know if they're at large, if they have to be an engineer, if they have to be real estate, or whatever the open slots are.
Yeah. We will do so.
One other concern, Mr. Porter, the construction oversight review, I've always served for the 16 years that I've been on the board, but when the new board members take over in November, there's going to be at least 2, if not 3, seats that are going to change for people that are not going to run again. Barbara McQuinn is not running, and I heard one of the other board members may or may not. Can you make it a point to work? I'm going to talk to the superintendent, but could you make it a point to work, Mr. Porter, work with the new board members to bring them up to speed quickly on Construction Oversight Review Committee, because lots of them probably have no background in what you all do, and it's going to be hard for them to figure out exactly what's going on. But if you could meet with them, I know there's an onboarding process, but I'm not sure that CORC is part of that onboarding process. So, Mr. Porter, if you could make sure that happens, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, not a problem. A phone call and a discussion, and tell them what's up. I'm now here 22 years, so I might have a little experience.
Great. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen.
Nope, no problem. Thanks. Okay. Anything else by anyone? We don't have anything special for the agenda, so we'll see what staff brings back to us. Any other comments, points by members? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
We're on 10 o'clock.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
1 hour. Thank you.
Even with
I know. I'm gonna. No,
See you guys.
I need more stuff, so I'm gonna. It's in 1 year.
Is it over?
Yeah.